Hello and welcome back to my channel, another bodywork video, and this week we're going to be looking at this VW T28 panel van. So this is a VW panel van that someone started to convert into a camper, and yep, you've guessed it, like all these vans, it's got lots of rust. So the rust's in all the usual places, the bottoms of the doors, the wheel arches, front wing wheel arches, and the back doors, and of course along the sills. You'll also notice on this van it's going to need some work done to that rear bumper because the paint's all cracked and starting to come off. Another place these vans tend to rust is above that rear bumper on the lower quarter edge. As you can see, the sliding doors, they also rust really bad as well. So there you have it, that's the job I'm going to be tackling this week, so let's get it back to the yard and get it washed off. So we've got the vehicle all washed off and we're in the workshop. I've took the side steps off and I was actually quite surprised the bolts come undone. With them jobs out the way, it's now time to get rid of this rust. And to remove that rust, I'm going to use one of these poly strip wheels on the grinder because they're really good to strip back the paint and to strip back that rust. Before I get going, I'm going to put on some goggles, a mask and some gloves. And I'm actually glad to be putting a mask on because this vehicle smells like a big fat tomcat's pissed all over it. As you can see, I've now stripped all the rust off with a poly wheel. Next job is to go over that with a DA and feather the edges out. But first, I just want to show you something. So I've took the rear bumper off. I need to take this off next. We've got some rust under here. So I've opened up the door. I've stripped the inner panel off. And what is all that about there? Look at that. That's like some German over-engineering at its finest. I've got all that stripped down now, and a little trick. So when you've got doors stripped down and you've got all the internals removed, good thing to do is to just click the latches. Like that. So when you shut the door, they don't lock. So a friend of mine recently learnt a valuable lesson when he was working on his BMW. He was working in the boot area of his car. He'd disconnected the battery and unfortunately for him he'd accidentally shut the boot. So with the boot lid on those cars, they're electronic, he was unable to get into the boot of the car. So what he had to do was break into the boot through the rear seats. So he had to remove the rear seats and fortunately he managed to get back into the boot and reconnect the battery and he managed to open it. So he learned a valuable lesson there. You know who you are. I don't think he'll do it again. Now, back on with the job. And the next stage is feathering out these edges. So we're going to be using a DA. This is my DA dual action sander. And it's connected up to an extraction system. Now on that DA, I'm going to be using a 120 Merca disc. I've got everything all feathered out now with the DA. So next I'm going to apply some of this rust treatment. That rust converter's gone off now, so the next job is to get it in filler. So the filler I'm going to use is this metal filler. So the idea of me using this is so that it fills any pinholes to stop any water that may seep through any pinholes, as the job's been filled before, so we need to make sure that it's well sealed with a good hard filler. So I bought this product from Amazon, and I'll pin a link in the description for anyone that's wanting to buy some. I just started doing a bit on the bumper while the filler goes off, and look at that. Look at all the filler in there. So someone's put like way too much filler in this bumper. I don't understand why they put so much in it, and they've used the wrong filler to start with. This is just a filler that you would use on a dent repair onto metal. So really you want to be using a more flexible plastic filler on there. It's in really bad shape, this bumper, and I don't really want to be spending too much time on it, if I'm honest. I'll see what I can do. So I've just knocked the top of the filler off with the DA. I'm going to fill it again with some finer filler just to fill these bits here, level it all up. Then I'm going to get it all in primer. So I've got bashed on loads with this job now, let me show you. So I've got all the filler work finished. There was a dent in the back door. I finished off this lower door edge. I finished off this lower door edge. And also that front wing. I've got on with this bumper and I've done a load of filler work on there. As I said, I didn't want to spend too much time on that bumper. I just wanted to tidy it up really before I got it in primer. As you can see, my stepson's dog. Hello. As you can see, my stepson's dog is in the garage. So I've got her today. She was barking in the house, so I brought her into the garage and she seems much better, but she's going to have to go back in the house soon when I do the paint work, when I get the primer on the vehicle. Here's your paw. Here's your paw. You're not very happy, are you? You're not very happy. Man's best friend. So back to the job, and the next stage of this job is we're at a point now where we're going to put primer on all the repairs. Come on, let's go mix some primer up. So it's the next day, and as you'll see, I managed to get this vehicle completely in primer last night. So I've got the bumper in primer, all the repairs on the vehicle itself, bottom of the doors, and I've actually got it in a guide coat. So you can see that speckle of black that's on the panels. That's just a dusting of aerosol that I've given them, so that when I sand them down with a DA, prepping them up, I'll be able to see where I've gone with a DA. So a closer look at the guide coat on this repair on the side. Basically, when I'm sanding that down with the DA, when I'm prepping it up ready for paint, I'll be going over there with the DA, sanding it down, and when all this speckle of black aerosol has disappeared, then I know it's ready for paint. So I'm going to get bashed on with this job now. I'm going to get the primer all prepped up, I'm going to get the vehicle all masked up, and then I'm going to get it in paint. So I'm all prepped up, I'm masked up, and I'm ready to put some paint on, and it's going to be tight. So what my plan is I'm going to blow that bumper over first, and those couple of bits there, I'm going to let it go off a bit, and I'm going to put these outside, and then I'm going to blow the vehicle over. So I've got those rear doors to paint, and obviously both the sides.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle. Wait a minute, work hard for the car, so that's why it's all tinted. Wait a minute, had a real late night, woke up with my head spinning out in Nashville. It's been mad real, I need sunglasses, I need Advil. I like fake boobs, and my cash real. I like first place, you're in last deal. Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle. Look.
Pocket rocket in my pocket, please don't make me pop it. All these boys just wanna copy the style, tell them niggas stop it. Whoa, whoa. It's my destiny, feeling like Latoya, like it found me my Beyonce, and she shotgun in the cockpit. Grinding with the team, making C-notes. In my pocket still full of green, call it CeeLo. Alligator watch on me, Tim Tebow. And these haters love to watch me like Tebow. Look, I don't take L's, I just learn a lesson. Before I count the M's, always count my blessings. Look, I'm too sure, never second guessing. Got some money, put up for the rain, so I'm never stressing.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Sinful's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flame.
So I've got this job in paint, guns washed. I'm about to go in the house, have some tea and get back in here tomorrow. This is what it looks like. Well, it's Saturday morning, I'm back in the garage and I'm back on with this job. So if you remember last night, we got the whole vehicle in paint. So because the job's that big, I had to paint the bumper first, then I had to put the bumper outside before I could paint the van. Unfortunately, we encountered a problem. So I painted the bumper, I put it outside and it decided to rain. So you can see there's some marks there that the water's left on the bumper. I'm going to try this morning to wet flat them out and hopefully polish it back up. But first I'm going to demask the van, I'm going to build it back up because it's going to be a lot easier to polish that bumper up on the van. So I'm done. I've got the van all back together. I've got it polished up, I've got it cleaned down, and it is ready for big reveal. It's Saturday, by the way. I've been grafting all day. I wish I was off. I wish I was enjoying my weekend. The week I've had, I really could have done with having this weekend to myself, to be honest. It's been an absolute nightmare. But anyway, I've got it done. I've got it all back together. It's all finished, cleaned down, ready to be revealed. But first, before we have a look at it, just want to show you some of the products that I use doing this job. I use this metal filler, and the reason why I use this filler is to fill any pinholes that there might be there. It was quite rusty, it was quite bad. If you fill it with normal filler and it gets water behind, then it would come straight back through. So this is just a more hard, better sealing filler, better for filling when you've had bad rust. Another filler I use is this Dolphin Glaze. This is just a filler to fill the pinholes. Basically, so you'll use a normal filler first, and then you'll skim over this. It's very fine, and it fills all those little pinholes you get in filler. So this is like a finishing filler, really, if you like, before you go over it with primer. So that's a good filler there, nice fine filler. It goes off quick, ideal for your pinholes and very small fine repairs. Back to the rust, and if some of you were wondering what I used on the grinder to clean that rust up and to strip the paint back, it was actually a poly wheel. So that's a poly wheel there. I used that on the grinder. It's quite well used, that one. In fact, I will get a bit more use out of that. And the spray gun I used, so again I use this cheap fast mover spray gun. It's a 1.3 tip HVLP gun. It's about 40 quid. Again, I'll put a link in the comments to this gun as well. So that's some of the products that I've used on this job. There'll be links to all of them in the comments. Right, let's get a look at this job now it's finished.